Good morning and welcome to the Bidders Conference. Today's date is Wednesday, December 10th, 2025. The purpose of this recording today is to give an explanation of the grant competition that is occurring in the state of Oklahoma for adult education. This new grant cycle will be for the years 2026 through 2030. There will be 3 grants that will be available for a competition. This will be explained later, but these 3 grants are Corrections Institutional Education, IELCE, and the AEFL grant for Adult Education Family Literacy. This recording will be posted to the ODCTE ABE Grant Competition webpage. After this recording, and when the grants will be posted to our webpage, you may post questions through a Q&A document that'll be on our webpage, and then all information will be posted for answers on our webpage. Again, the objective for today's Bidders Conference is to outline the requirements of the grant, explain the components of the application, define budget and program requirements, and provide guidance in answering questions. Request for Proposal RFP General Information. ODCTE will host 3 separate grant competitions. Again, these are the Corrections Institution Education, the Integrated English Learning Language and Civics Ed, or ILCE, and the AEFL Adult Education Family Literacy Grant. Applications will be filled out with a Word document. Once applications are complete, any grantee has the ability to then save those files into a PDF and email those over using the email listed below, which is abe@careertech.ok.gov. You do not have to save it as a PDF file, but you may do that. You can just also send it over as a Word document. Please use the email listed below, again, for any correspondence-related questions or for actually sending your completed RFP application. Remember, all RFP applications must be emailed to abe@careertech.ok.gov by Friday, September 16th, 2026, by 11:59 p.m. Any application received after that time will be considered late. The grant award periods, again, is for a 4-year cycle starting on July 1st of 2026 and extending to June 30th of 2030. Annual renewal periods are listed below for each year. After the first year, renewals will be contingent on the grant recipient's ability to successfully implement the terms of the grant and demonstrate effectiveness as determined by outcomes. The priorities of funding under WIOA are for the following applicants: those who have demonstrated effectiveness in improving the literacy of eligible individuals, especially with respect to eligible individuals who have low levels of literacy, whose services are aligned with local workforce strategies, priorities, and partners, and whose services are responsive to the needs of persons with barriers to employment. The timeline for this application process is the following. December 12th, Bidders Conference recording will be posted to our webpage. January 1st of 26, ODCTE will begin accepting proposals for funding applications. January 1st through 2026 through February 16th of 26 window, grant applications may be submitted to ODCTE via abe@careertech.ok.gov. February 16th, 2026 by 11:59 p.m., deadline to submit applications. Again, any applications submitted after this date will be considered late. February 16th of 2026 to April 15th of 2026. If necessary, this whole window will be used by the ODCTE team to conduct a review of applications, conduct pre-award risk assessments, and make the final determination of who will receive an award during the 2026-2030 grant cycle. Local Workforce Development Area Board will also review applications to determine the alignment of the applications with their local plans and provide recommendations to the ODCTE. Finally, on April 17th of 2026, applicants will be notified of award recipient status via email. Direct and equitable access. Competitive grant process ensures that all eligible providers will have direct and equitable access to apply and compete for grants. The same grant announcement and application processes are used for all eligible applicants in the state, and all applicants must respond to the same 13 federal considerations. Relevant legislation and policies. Applicants need to be familiar with laws concerning WIOA and Title II, applicable federal and state regulations such as EDGAR and UGG, Oklahoma State Plan for Workforce Development, regional local workforce development plans, the Oklahoma Adult Education Literacy Handbook for fiscal year 2026, and the current Oklahoma assessment policies. Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act of 2014 requires the alignment of workforce, education, and economic development systems to support access to high-quality, comprehensive, and accessible workforce services for all individuals, including those with significant barriers to employment. Under the Workforce and Opportunity Act, there are 4 titles under WIOA. Title I, Adults, Youth, and Dislocated Workers. Title II, Adult Education. Title III, Wagner-Pizer. And Title IV, Vocational Rehab. Allowable activities under this grant include adult education and family literacy activities, English language acquisition program, English language learner, family literacy activities, integrated English literacy and civics education, along with an integrated education and training component, literacy, and workforce preparation activities. Grant competition opportunities. Again, the following grant competition opportunities are available: adult education and family literacy, AFLA, correctional institutional, integrated English literacy and civics education, IELCE. Adult education and family literacy, the purpose of this grant is to fund programs that can assist adults to become literate and obtain the knowledge and skills necessary for employment and economic self-sufficiency, to assist adults who are parents or family members to attain the education and skills that are necessary to becoming full partners in the educational development of their children and leading to sustainable improvements in the economic opportunities for their family. Assisting adults in attaining a secondary school diploma and in transitioning to post-secondary education and training, including through career pathways. Assisting immigrants and other individuals who are English language learners to improve their reading, writing, speaking, and comprehension skills in English and mathematics. Acquiring an understanding of the American system of government, individual freedom, and the responsibilities of citizenship. Correctional institutional. These funds under the correctional institutional education can be used to support education programs for transition to reentry initiatives and other post-release services with the goal of reducing recidivism. These funds may also include education and counseling or casework to support incarcerated individuals to transition to reentry and other post-release services. Examples include assisted incarcerated individuals to develop plans for post-release education program participation, assisting students in identifying and applying for participation in post-release programs, and performing direct outreach to community-based program providers on behalf of reentering students. Such funds may not be used for costs for participation in post-release programs or services. Integrated English literacy and civics education. Funds for this program are used to provide services to English language learners who are adults, including professionals with degrees and credentials in their native countries that enable such adults to achieve competency in the English language and acquire the basic and more advanced skills needed to function effectively as parents, workers, and citizens in the U.S. Such services must include instruction in literacy and English language acquisition and instruction on rights and responsibilities of citizenship and civic participation. The funds provided under this section of this act must also be used in combination with integrated education training. ILCE components. The ILCE program must provide education services to English language learners who are adults, including professionals with degrees and credentials in their native countries. IELCE program must include instruction in IELCE and must include instruction in literacy and English language acquisition. The IELCE program must include instruction on the rights and responsibilities of citizenship and civic participation. ILCE must also be in combination with an IET, an integrated education training component that specifically provides eligible providers the ability to receive funds through this IELC program to meet the requirements to use funds for an integrated English literacy and civics education in combination with an integrated education training activities by co-enrolling participants in integrated education training as described in subpart D, provided with the local or regional workforce development areas from sources other than Section 243, or using funds provided under Section 243 to support integrated education and training activities as cited in subpart D. Eligible providers receiving funds through the IELCE program must provide services that are designed to prepare adults who are English language learners for and place such adults in unsubsidized employment in in-demand industries and occupations that lead to economic self-sufficiency, and integrate with the local workforce development system and its functions to carry out the activities of the program. Section 1, eligibility. Section 1, the purpose of this section is to verify applicant eligibility to be a grant recipient in providing adult education and family literacy services. Applications that are incomplete or cannot demonstrate eligibility will not be reviewed, scored, or considered for funding by the review committee. Eligible applicants. Your organization must be considered an eligible provider to receive federal adult basic education funding. An eligible provider means an organization has demonstrated effectiveness in providing adult education and family literacy activities. Effectiveness is demonstrated by providing 2 years of past performance data that shows skill improvement. This is further outlined in Section 1, determining eligibility. And according to WIOA Section 231, providers outside of Oklahoma are not eligible for this grant. Eligible provider types are the following: local education agency, community-based or faith-based organization, volunteer literacy organizations, public housing authority, consortiums, or coalition of the agencies, organizations, institutions, libraries, or authorities previously described, institutions of higher education, public or private nonprofit organizations, libraries, nonprofit institutions that is not previously described and has the ability to provide adult education, family literacy activities, and partnerships between an employer and an entity previously described. Demonstrate effectiveness in serving eligible individuals. According to Federal Code of Regulations, there is a requirement that eligible grant applicants must demonstrate effectiveness in serving eligible individuals. ODCTE requires that you submit the last 2 years of the organization's outcome data. And it would look something like this for an example for one of the questions. If you can answer this question with the yes, then you would see this next example of tables that you would fill out. If your answer would be no, then you would see these tables that you would fill out. Section 2, determining service area. The purpose of this section is to identify the areas that you intend to serve with your grant application. A service area is defined by counties within the state's workforce development areas. Oklahoma has 77 counties. Section 3, application narrative. In this part of the application, the grant narrative will describe your program, 13 considerations, plus additional grant information for IELCE and corrections. Section 4, budget. Eligible providers will determine a budget for providing services in the workforce development areas requested, and the ODCTE team will evaluate these budgets. Budgets should reflect counties which eligible providers plan to serve. The ODCTE team requires a local match of dollars and or in-kind donation of 25% of state funds received. This match may be direct or in-kind. All match items must meet the same guidelines for allowability and allocability as the federal funds. Negotiations will occur when more than one eligible provider is determined for a specific county. Awards may be based on multiple factors, including reasonableness of the budget relative in the service area, quality of the eligible provider application, past performance, including measurable skill gains attainment relative to state performance targets, expected number of individuals to be served, workforce development area board recommendations, previous year allocations, past expenditures, and results from the pre-award risk assessment. Also, service providers not meeting negotiated performance levels may see a reduction in their allocation for the following years. Those service providers meeting or exceeding their performance levels may be eligible for an increase in their allocation in their funding for the following years from the pool of funds not allocated to those providers not meeting performance levels. The ODCTE may limit the carryover of an ABE service provider. The carryover limit may not exceed 25% of their projected allocation for the upcoming year. Any overage will be then redistributed to the other service providers. In the narrative, provide a detailed description for each line item of how awards funded will be spent consistent with the grant requirements described on pages 4 and 5 of this document. Include items such as positions that will be funded by salaries and benefits and specific supplies and the purpose for which they are purchased. Remember, for uniform guidance, remember the following. Is it allowable? Is it allocable? Is it reasonable? And is it necessary? Proposal checklists. Provide information to be considered an eligible provider with demonstrated effectiveness, including at least 2 years of performance data. Complete and submit all applicable pages of the application in numerical order. Sign originals of each required form with easily identifiable signatures. Certified digital signatures will be accepted. And finally, email your submission to abe@careertech.ok.gov by the deadline of February 16th at 11:59 p.m. Thank you for attending this Bidders Conference recording. Any information or questions that you may have needs to be sent to the following email, abe@careertech.ok.gov. Thank you again for your time. Have a wonderful rest of your day.